Have you ever won an argument but felt like you lost something important? Maybe you proved your point but the relationship felt strained. The silence was thick with unspoken resentment. It's a hollow victory when you win the argument but lose the connection. We've all been there. We get caught up in the heat of the moment. We want to be right. We want the other person to see our perspective. But in the process, we often forget something crucial. The person we're arguing with is just that, a person. They have feelings, thoughts, and experiences that shape their views, just like we do. Winning an argument shouldn't come at the cost of a relationship. When we prioritize being right over understanding each other, we create distance instead of connection. This is true in our families, our workplaces, and our communities. Instead of focusing on who's right or wrong, imagine approaching disagreements as opportunities for understanding. What if the goal wasn't to win but to connect? From childhood, we're often taught to debate, to defend our positions, and to strive for victory. In school, we're graded on our ability to argue persuasively. At home, family debates can feel like competitions. In the workplace, disagreements can become battles for recognition or resources. These experiences teach us that arguments are about winning and losing. We learn to focus on our own arguments, gathering evidence and crafting rebuttals. We become skilled debaters, but often at the expense of truly listening and trying to understand the other person's perspective. This win-lose mentality can seep into our personal relationships as well. We argue to prove our point, to defend our ego, or to maintain a sense of control. But this approach often leads to frustration, resentment, and disconnection. It's time to break free from this adversarial cycle. Instead of seeing disagreements as battles to be won, we can choose to approach them as opportunities for connection and growth. Shifting from a mindset of correcting to a mindset of connecting requires a fundamental change in our approach to disagreements. It's about choosing empathy over ego, understanding over judgment, and connection over control. Connecting with someone doesn't mean you have to agree with them. It's about acknowledging their feelings, validating their experiences, and trying to see the world from their point of view. It's about recognizing that their perspective is just as valid as yours, even if you don't share it. Validation is not the same as agreement. You can validate someone's feelings without condoning their actions. For example, you might say, "I understand why you're upset. It sounds like you feel betrayed." This acknowledges their feelings without necessarily agreeing with their assessment of the situation. When we prioritize connection, we create a safe space for open and honest communication. We build bridges of understanding instead of walls of division. Imagine a couple arguing about finances. One partner is upset about an unexpected expense, while the other feels unfairly blamed. Instead of engaging in a back and forth about who's right or wrong, they pause and try to understand each other's perspective. The partner who is upset about the expense might say, "I'm not mad at you, I'm just stressed about money right now." The other partner, instead of getting defensive, could respond with, "I understand, it's frustrating to have unexpected expenses come up." This simple exchange, rooted in empathy and understanding, de-escalates the conflict and creates space for a more productive conversation. They're not trying to win the argument, they're trying to understand each other's feelings and find a solution together. This approach to conflict resolution can be applied to countless situations, from disagreements with family members to conflicts at work. By prioritizing connection, we can transform disagreements from destructive battles into opportunities for growth and understanding. In the heat of an argument, our emotions can hijack our best intentions. We say things we regret and react in ways that damage relationships. That's why one of the most powerful tools for communicating with empathy is the pause. Before you react, take a deep breath. Count to 5. Excuse yourself from the conversation for a moment if you need to. This pause allows you to calm your nervous system, gather your thoughts, and respond with intention instead of reacting on autopilot. The pause is not about avoiding the conversation or suppressing your feelings. It's about creating space for you to respond in a way that aligns with your values and strengthens your relationships. Remember, you don't have to have all the answers right away. It's okay to say, "I need a moment to process this," or "Can we talk about this later when I've had some time to think?" Validation is a powerful tool for building connection and de-escalating conflict. It's about acknowledging and accepting the other person's feelings, even if you don't agree with them. When you validate someone's feelings, you're not saying they're right or wrong, you're simply acknowledging their emotional experience. This can be as simple as saying, "I understand why you're feeling that way," or "It makes sense that you're upset about this." Validation is not about giving in or agreeing with the other person. You can validate someone's feelings without condoning their actions. For example, you might say, "I can see that you're angry, but I don't think yelling is the best way to solve this." When you validate someone's feelings, you create a sense of safety and understanding. You communicate that their feelings are valid and that you're listening without judgment. This can be incredibly disarming, even in heated situations. The questions we ask during a disagreement can either escalate the conflict or create opportunities for understanding. Questions that start with why can often feel accusatory, putting the other person on the defensive. Instead of asking why questions, try asking open-ended questions that start with what or how. For example, instead of asking, "Why are you so upset about this?" you could ask, "What is it about this situation that's upsetting you?" Or, "How can I better understand your perspective?" These types of questions invite the other person to share their thoughts and feelings without feeling attacked. They encourage dialogue and foster a sense of collaboration. Remember, the goal is not to interrogate the other person but to understand their experience. Approach the conversation with curiosity and a genuine desire to learn.